Hello YouTube. I wanted to do a quick video on one of the funniest nebulas that I've shot for a while. It's called the Pacman Nebula because it has a resemblance to the arcade game. It is a very reasonably bright nebula in the Cassiopeia region of the Milky Way. It is NGC 281 IC11 or shapeless 184, I think. And it's a mission nebula. It's pretty rich in sulfur, hydrogen, and there's an oxygen core as well. Now, this is some data I took, I think, in 2021, and while my telescope was suffering from some small issues regarding the baffling system, but let's take a look at the data anyway and see how it performs. So here's the telescope. I've seen it. If you guys watch my channel, you've seen it in a lot of videos, even live on my desk here. It's currently busy waiting for the clouds to clear in California, but it's the Officina Stellare RC Richie-Chrétien 320. It's 12.5 inch mirror primary. The mirror on the primary, diameter on the primary mirror is 12.5 inches, and it weighs up to about 75 pounds with everything on there. I used the QHY 600 Pro, QHY filter wheel, low ZWO camera with an off-axis guider, and a focuser. If this doesn't mean a lot to you, that's fine. I'm mostly appealing to the medium to kind of advanced astrophotographers. If you're new to astrophotography, I'll do some videos in the future, but for now, it's more of intermediate to advanced astrophotography tutorials and presentations. When that changes, you'll probably see some videos on my channel on how to get into astrophotography, what to do. For now, we're talking about something as close as you can get to professional equipment. This is an observatory grade mount, which is this red thing called the Paramount ME I, observatory grade Richie-Chrétien reflector. It's a semi-professional camera. It's not really a scientific grade camera, but together they create some nice images. The focal length is 1680 millimeters f5.4. The Officina Stellare telescope that I'm showing, it's no longer in production, but it's a very, very good scope, both from the optics point of view, the mirrors, and the mechanics, which is these little things here that I'm pointing with my mouse. They handle collimation really, really well, and it takes this special key to move it, which is pretty crazy. Usually you use hex keys. This does not. So it is very, very good optically and mechanically, and it was suffering from some baffling issues where I had a extra secondary baffle for larger sensors and for removing off-axis light from larger CCD sensors, because at the time CCDs were popular when this was made. Now, with that removed, it's much better now, but at the time I was struggling with it and almost came to terms that it was never going to go away. So I've shot this a bunch of times. This is the first processing that I did with this data. You can see it's a bit messy. The stars look much, much bigger than they are because these weird concentric circles that came from the secondary baffle issue. It's a bit noisy. I wasn't that good at star reduction, so you can see pretty amateurish like stars. And then what I did is I also worked with the data I had from this telescope and my previous GSO Taiwanese telescope, and created this HDR. It's okay. I think I can do better. So let's see what I started with. So here's my data. Let's go to the oxygen first. I'll start with the worst channel. As you can see, the core of this Pacman Nebula is pretty rich in oxygen, and the flat fielding is relatively well done. But again, when you go to bright stars, and I'll just show that in a sec, this very annoying effect happened, and for that reason I got this telescope as a lemon, as they say in the US, which means a broken telescope, and it was thought to be a very bad damaged optical telescope, and it required mirror resurfacing, which costs more than a brand new GSO telescope. I think about $7,000 to resurface these. Through a lot of work with one of my friends, Jim, we managed to get it working. So here's the oxygen. Let's look at sulfur. Sulfur, like I said, the area is pretty rich in sulfur. I did have a weird artifact. Maybe there was the filter holder was impeding or something was happening. I still have those filters. I don't see this anymore. I'm not exactly sure what was happening. This was done using the Chroma 3 nanometer filters. I still use those to the day and I don't have any issues. Probably there was something on that filter that created this weird light path. There's nothing there unless I catch some weird UFO in sulfur. Lastly, the HA, again, beautiful as always. The space is dominated by hydrogen gas, so this looks really good. Apart from the stars that, are the way they are. So with this data, let's see what more I could do with it. So let's start with the stack, which is this file. As you can see, there's some issues with this line from the sulfur. The stars themselves are... I was really frustrated because I could see the actual star size, which was this. And these circles kind of pissed me off because I knew how good this telescope could be if these concentric circles wouldn't be there. I knew that the star size at this focal length was very good. The star size for reflectors and telescopes in general is measured in microns, and this was 5.4, which is very small at that focal length. For example, my RH200 astrograph has a 9 micron star size, so it was really good, but it needed to be fixed. So this is the stack. I did blur exterminator, which did not do anything to the stars that I thought. Honestly, I didn't even expect the AI to fix this. It doesn't know what these are. It wasn't trained for it. At best, it could minimize the halos, which it did. Then I stretched the image, I removed the stars, and then I got left with this. So you can see there's a lot of water droplets almost in the nebulosity that had to be fixed. This as well. So what I did is I stretched the image, as you can see here, with an S-curve, and I did some saturation adjustments a little bit. I did some masking and HDR multi-transform so that this area in the center is very much in, it's not over burned, it's not overshot, and it's not too bright. So that fixed it. Then I took it to Photoshop and I got to it, fixing it. Now, here's the final image. And again, I fixed all of these in Photoshop. I applied my own technique to change the color, to color mix it, because space is much more red, so I don't like the golden effect of these photos. I did some texturization and some other stuff to pull out the nebulosity. I was really curious if I can pull some of this stuff here. I think this is about 20 hours of data, but with bad seeing, because you can kind of see that there's gradienting everywhere. Usually with bad seeing or high altitude clouds, your numbers, your actually medium brightness for your images differs, and then the flats cannot calibrate it because the flats usually act at a range. So if your lights have a medium value of like 900, your flats are going to target that. But if they go up to 1200, 1400, 1500, then flats will do something, but it won't look flat fielded, and you'll have all these kind of weird gradients in the corners or throughout the image. So knowing that, I thought, hey, maybe I can pull a decent image. Turns out I did. So after I brought it back from Photoshop, you can see I fixed all of the weird droplets and stars that were there. There's still a little bit. This is also nebulosity that I probably should have spent more time capturing, but it wasn't the best sky conditions. But the actual nebulosity that I was going for, which is the Pacman kind of mountains here of nebulosity, they actually turned out really well. The dark nebula, the dust, is also pretty well visible. The oxygen is very nicely in the background. It has a little bit of 3D shape, and the texturization was really good. Now, I actually put the stars back in with that new script that I presented in my other videos with Pixel Math. Now, I'll give you that. I still didn't get rid of the concentric rings, but they're not as bad, and the other stars look really good. I was actually really happy with this image. I shared it with a couple of my friends that I really trust, a lot of astrophotographers that I really respect their opinions, like my buddy Ryan McMurray and Tudor from Canada, and they all like the image, and it's worth presenting. It's not going to win any APODs. I'd be surprised if it does, but don't quote me on that. But I think it turned out to be one of the best Pacman Nebula images I took. And yeah, if you have questions about my process images, put them in the comments. If you like my videos, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you can to spread my work around. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.